Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different no Salah drafts. And before you click off the video, even if you are thinking of going with Salah or you know you're going with Salah, this video should still be useful because we're going to discuss different structures, different formations and different ways to structure your team to allow for either 1, 2 or 3 premiums. If you're enjoying the content here on this channel, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. But without further ado, let's jump to today's video. Before we jump into today's video, I just want to give a massive shout out to the sponsor of the video, Incogni. Incogni does the most important job for you when it comes to modern day technology. They protect you online. Your personal information is regularly sold online and you may not even know about it, and that is why you receive so many spam emails and get targeted ads as soon as you search for something. And despite having the right to request to data brokers that this information of yours is deleted, doing so manually would unfortunately take you years to do. That's where Incogni comes in with their fully automated process. Incogni helps you protect your privacy and take your personal data off the market by reaching out to data brokers on your behalf and requesting that your data be deleted. And as I said, that entire process is completely automated. In doing so, you can be confident that your data is secure online. There have been countless data breaches in recent times, from startup breaches exposing billions of data points and 125 million email addresses to 50 million users having their data sold online. We even had our very own incident last season with third-party FPL sites, which was particularly close to home. The thing I really love about Incogni is that you can track the real-time progress of the process too, so you know exactly what is being done to protect your data online. If you want peace of mind and you want to feel protected online, Incogni are actually offering the first 100 people that sign up using the link down below, using the code FPLRaptor. The first 100 people will receive 20% off. So if you'd like to support my channel and or you just want to remain as protected as possible online, use the code FPLRaptor, 20% off to the first 100 people. Massive shout out to Incogni for sponsoring this video, but without further ado, let's jump into the video itself. So guys, as I said at the start of the video, we're going to be showing you 3 different drafts today, and the first is a 1 premium draft. Now, we all know the risks of going without Salah, but I think a lot of people are definitely considering it. Number 1, due to the fact that there are so many good sort of mid-priced options in defense, midfield, and attack this year, that if you remove 1 premium, you can really spread the funds. And then the other reason is there are lots of other good premiums that you could potentially pick instead of Salah, and all of those premiums are cheaper. 1 million cheaper for Son and Kevin De Bruyne, 1.5 million cheaper for Kane and Haaland. So I do think there are various reasons to go without Salah, and I didn't even mention the number 1 reason, which is that there are so many good Liverpool assets that you could get a triple up of Trent, Robertson and Diaz, which arguably might provide better value. I would like to caveat at the start of this video, I always do drop a caveat at the start of most of my videos, I am probably going with Salah. Salah hasn't left a single one of my drafts. I am one of those, I guess, boring managers that goes with Trent and Salah in every single draft. I just think they represent such fantastic value that despite being the most expensive midfielder and the most expensive defender, I don't see any real reason to go without them. All of that being said, we're going to go through 3 drafts today. Let me know down below, are you currently on Salah or not? He's only just above 50% ownership, Salah, so there are a lot of people that are going without him. If you are, let me know what sort of structure you're going for. Is it because you want to go for Son instead? Or is it because you're doing something like this with the first draft, which is spreading the funds a little bit and going for 1 premium? So the benefits of a draft such as this is you can build what really looks like one of the best possible 11s you can build. When you first glance at it, you go, wow, how on earth has someone been able to afford a team like this? And then you look into it in a bit more detail and you realize it's because they've only got 1 premium. Like I said, the benefits, you get basically every fantastic option outside of the premiums. You can afford almost every single expensive premium defender. You can afford a lot of those mid-priced midfielders, which if you watch Monday's video, we discussed the £8 million midfielders are such fantastic value, and you can still get an excellent premium. The negatives of a 1 premium draft such as this, if you remove Salah and only go for 1 premium, is really captaincy. That being said, I don't necessarily think it's a huge issue. So, for example, I've got Kane here as the single premium. The reason I've got Kane is I think if you're only going for 1 premium, it really does need to be quite a reliable premium. So I think if you're going for someone like Haaland, I don't know that you'd feel comfortable, unless he is just going to come in and be absolutely nailed on in that City team. I'm not sure that you feel comfortable captaining him every week because you've got that slight worry about rotation. Whereas someone like a Salah, so you could build this draft with Salah as your 1 premium, but in this situation, we're doing the no Salah drafts. Someone such as Kane, very reliable captaincy pick, and I wouldn't want to captain him against Chelsea in Game Week 2. I don't think I would advise anyone to do so. But you almost would be happy captaining Kane almost every week. And in those odd weeks where you don't want to captain Kane, just as an example here, I'd probably captain Cancelo in this team against Bournemouth at home in game week 2. Even Foden, Diaz, Sancho, Saka. You have lots of really decent options here. And of course, you can switch that premium as well. You can go from Kane to Haaland. Then you could invest a little bit of money in the midfield and switch it out so that you then get De Bruyne or Son. So I do think that I prefer a 2 premium draft just due to the captaincy, but I think maybe I make it a bigger issue than it is. And if you're planning on captaining Kane most weeks, you can get away with the odd differential captaincy on someone like Cancelo in game week 2, who, to be honest, I'm still considering for captaincy in game week 2, depending on how City look in game week 1. If we go through the team, it's basically the most expensive defence you can afford. So it's Ederson in goal, Cancelo, Robertson, Trent, James and Chilwell. So it is, apart from Van Dijk, it is the most expensive defence you can possibly afford. And it's double City, double Liverpool, double Chelsea. Now, I do understand that Chelsea have looked really poor in pre-season, and I'm slightly put off by their assets as a result. I don't want to knee-jerk too hard, but I do understand that. So you could easily take one of those out, and you could go for a 4-5-1, and rather than Chilwell, you could get like a Martinelli or a Neto in midfield. So you don't have to go for a 5-4-1. This is just to say that you can afford basically the very best defence and get 2 assets from each of the top 3 teams. You've then got a midfield 4. You can almost afford 4-8 millions. And if you want to go for a cheaper bench, you could afford 4-8 millions. Saka, Foden and Diaz as the 3 £8 million midfielders. And then I've got Sancho in there as a 7.5. The reason for having Sancho is I just think with a few of these options, such as a Foden, a Diaz, some of the wing backs for some of the clubs, James and Chilwell, there are a couple of rotation risks here. So I've just put Bailey on the bench as my first sub there. You could potentially upgrade one of the strikers to do that. Or, like I said, you could downgrade one of the midfielders and have an even stronger first sub. I suppose the actual players that I've picked are less of an issue here. What I'm trying to draw attention to is you can go for a 1 premium draft, whether that's with Salah or not. The purpose of today's video is to say without Salah. And what removing Salah allows you to do is really spread those funds. But you really need to think, are you happy deploying an early wildcard? Because for me, this team does scream a little bit early wildcard, because if Salah, Son, De Bruyne, Haaland, Kane, all of these players start doing really well, the premiums just absolutely smash it from the off. How on earth are you going to get a second premium in? It's probably going to take at least 3 transfers to start taking a bit of money out your defence, a little bit out of some of the other midfielders to get it into a midfield slot. So unless you're happy playing an early wildcard, if this is a mistake and your team doesn't do as well as you think, I probably wouldn't opt for the 1 premium. But let me know down below what you think. It does look absolutely beautiful. When you look at this, you think, what a team. That defence, that midfield, still getting a premium striker as well. For me, I just prefer the flexibility and balance of a 2 premium or a 1.5 premium. So let's take a look at those drafts now. So draft number 2, there's really not that much of a difference between the 2 drafts. I've kept a lot of the players the same, and that's not because I think they're necessarily the best players and you have to pick them. It's just to show you, like I said, what I'm focusing on more so here is what can you do with your team if you take Salah out? Because that should be the focus. It shouldn't be that I prefer this player. It should be what can you do with your team to structure it slightly differently if you go without Salah. And draft 2 is a 1.5 premium draft. It's what I would call a fluid 4-4-2/3-5-2. It depends if you want to bring Bailey in for your cheaper £4.5 million defender. So it's sort of, you would float between the 2, try and get a nice rotation between those 2 players there. You've still got Ederson, you've still got Trent, Robertson and Diaz. I think if you drop Salah, those are probably the 3 Liverpool players that you should be opting for. You've still got James in there as well. But in this draft, I've actually dropped Cancelo all the way down to a 4.5. So here I've gone for Dalot. I know it's a bit of a joke now on my channel and on Twitter. There's Man United propaganda in favour of Dalot. It could be anyone. Botman, White, whoever you want in that £4.5 million slot. But in doing so, you're saving £2.5 million. What you can do with that £2.5 million is upgrade one of your midfield slots or one of your striker spots to what I call a half premium. So what I've done in this team is I've actually managed to get Sterling in there. I think Sterling could be an excellent option. We've spoken about those players, the main 3 being Vardy, Bruno Fernandes and Sterling. They're in that bracket where they're not quite a premium player. I wouldn't say at £10 million Sterling's quite a premium option, but they're more expensive than the mid-price sort of £8 million midfielders and strikers. So I like Sterling in there. And I think what Sterling allows you to do is it allows you to jump on that mid-price sort of premium player. It gets you closer to a premium. So if you do need to switch to a premium, you're a little bit closer there. And worst case scenario, Sterling, Bruno, Vardy, all of them look absolutely terrible. It's a very easy downgrade to an £8 million mid, and then all of a sudden you've got around £2 million to play with. So I like Sterling for all of those reasons. It would just be a mega differential because he's at that really tricky price point. A lot of people have 2 premiums already, and they might not want to go for a 2.5 premium draft and get another one in there. I do love Vardy, though. I've spoken about this on Twitter recently. If you want to go for Vardy instead of Sterling, it's a very similar sort of setup. The other thing that I've done in this team is I've Also downgraded a midfielder again slightly down to Rashford. So Rashford's in there at 6.5. And what that allows me to do is get the very popular Gabriel Jesus in there. So I get the Kane and Jesus up top. Again, the reason I've gone for Kane over Haaland isn't necessarily because I think Kane's a better option than Haaland. I just think if you're only going for one main premium, it needs to be someone that you think will play every single week so that you can feel comfortable captaining them if you don't want to captain a slightly differential player. So this is the second draft. Not much too different, to be honest. Just downgrading one of your defenders slightly, getting a half premium, we'll call it, in there in Sterling, Vardy, Bruno Fernandes, even someone like Darwin. I guess 9 million is just about a half premium there. Downgrading one of the midfielders slightly to Rashford, and that allows you to get Gabriel Jesus in. What I would say is, again, I would try and just get one decent-ish bench option in there. I've got Bailey in there, but it doesn't have to be Bailey. You could upgrade Nico Williams to another £4.5 million the defender that rotates well with Dalot. Someone like a Johnny or an 8 Nuri would rotate relatively well, or a Brentford defender such as Ben Mee. So I don't mind that. I would, especially if you're going for the likes of Sterling, Foden, Rashford, there's quite a few rotation risks in here. So I would try and just strengthen the bench slightly. Don't stress about it, but strengthen it slightly. That also allows you to be a little bit more fluid in your formation. So as you can see here, switch between a 4-4-2 and a 3-5-2 as well. It could even be a 5-back some weeks if you want to play Nico Williams. So that's the second draft, 1.5 premium. I do like the 0.5 premium drafts just because it allows you to get those players at tricky price points that others are just not going to be able to get to. Let's take a look at a fairly standard 2 premium draft to finish, draft number 3. So the first 2 drafts we were focused on, if you remove Salah, almost spreading the funds slightly more. And I think that makes the most sense for me. If you're going without Salah, I think it makes sense to try and utilize that money elsewhere rather than just going for almost a like-for-like replacement. The reason I say that is I genuinely do believe that Salah is in his own league in comparison to Son, De Bruyne, Haaland, Kane. I think Salah is the best premium. So I'm not sure it makes as much sense for me, at least, to go with another premium instead of Salah, and as such, still be going for a 2 premium draft. I think I would just rather have Salah in there. It is worth noting that you are saving £1 million going for a De Bruyne or a Son over Salah. You're even saving 1.5 million if you go for Kane and Haaland. So I do appreciate that. And the other thing that's worth noting is you get a very, very, very nice captaincy rotation between Man City and Spurs. I would argue, and I do think this is fair, when you're just looking at fixtures, I would argue that the best captaincy rotation is probably between a Man City asset and a Spurs asset, whether that be Kane and De Bruyne or Haaland and Kane or Son and Kane, etc. Son and De Bruyne, I should say. So it doesn't really matter which ones, but if you rotate Spurs and City, you get an incredibly nice rotation there. So there are definitely reasons to go for a 2 premium where you're essentially just replacing Salah with a De Bruyne or a Son and then going for the alternative striker from the other team. And that does give you £1 million. And you can see from this draft, you'll think it looks incredibly similar. I've just switched out basically 2 or 3 players here. So the defense is exactly the same. You can see I've got Ederson in every draft. I know that's not a big... People won't be a massive fan of that. A lot of people going for a 4.5 million or a Mendy instead. I do think I'm going to start the season with Ederson. That's not definitely confirmed. I may well switch to a 4.5. I just think over the first 5 or 6 weeks, which is probably when we'll start looking at playing a wildcard around game week 5, game week 6, I think he just could be really excellent value, get you 3 or 4 clean sheets. And it will allow, if you go for a Cancelo or a Diaz alongside Ederson, a Man City double up in defence. And they are the best defence in the league by some distance, at least last season and the season before that. So Ederson's in all the teams. The backline's exactly the same. You get 3 premiums in there plus a 4.5. It doesn't have to be Diogo Dalot. And essentially what the change has been here is I've switched out Sterling for De Bruyne, right? So I've upgraded Sterling to De Bruyne. Again, that could be Son and Haaland. It doesn't have to be KDB and Kane. I think I just about prefer De Bruyne and Kane if I'm going to go for a Man City and a Spurs asset. So you get De Bruyne in instead of Sterling. Still got Rashford, still got Diaz. Martinelli comes in at 6 million here. And what I've just done there, because you've got Martinelli in there as an option, I've just put Kai Havertz in there instead of Gabriel Jesus, because I've been speaking about it for a while. Whilst Chelsea have struggled in pre-season, I do really like Kai Havertz at 8 million. I think he could be a really nice alternative. You could even get like a Martial in there, and that gives you another million to spend. Maybe you go from Havertz to Martial, and then you can upgrade, for example, Rashford to like a Grealish or a Coutinho if you wanted to. So there are various ways that you can approach this. This 2 premium one, whilst like I said, I think it does make sense if you're not going to go with Salah to maybe spread the funds a little bit and go for almost like a perma captain 1 or 1.5 premium draft. This is a more flexible draft. And if Salah does go absolutely crazy against Fulham in game week 1 and you go, do you know what? I've made a mistake. I want to get Salah back in. You still need to find $1 million to go from De Bruyne to Salah. You might even need to find more if he increases in price. It's still easier to go from De Bruyne to Salah. than it is to go from the likes of, for example, a Sterling to a Salah, or even someone like a Diaz to a Salah if you've got in like an £8 million midfielder. So this is the final 2 premium draft. I suppose what I would say is, for me, the way I'm approaching this is Salah had the best underlying data last season. Even after AFCON, his underlying data was exceptional. He just wasn't finishing as many chances as he normally was. Getting a little bit of bad luck. Maybe he didn't look quite as confident as he did before AFCON, but he was still exceptional, still the best underlying data, still the best output, most points scored, consistently going to get you above 250 points. He's an excellent, excellent asset. I still think he's the best captain in game week 1. And I just think it's easier to go from Salah to De Bruyne or Son. If Salah doesn't look at it for the first couple of game weeks, then you sell him. I know you might lose a little bit of value because he's going to be so highly owned. I just think, for me, starting with the most expensive player in each position, that's why, for me, I've always had Trent, Salah, and then Kane or Haaland. If you have the most expensive player in each of those positions, it's very easy to downgrade them. To get from even from a De Bruyne to a Salah, it's still tricky to find that. It'll probably be like 1 or 1.1 million if Salah does go up in price. So for all of those reasons, it's not necessarily copping out. It's not necessarily just being a safe manager. I just don't see enough value or reason, for me at least, to go without Salah. And I think he's the best captaincy option a lot of the weeks. And I think he rotates quite nicely with a Spurs or a Man City asset for captaincy. Let me know down below, have I made a good enough case for you to go without Salah? Were you going without Salah already? And if you are, let me know what sort of structure you're going for. Are you just replacing Salah with another premium? Or are you going for that sort of spread the funds, perma-captain draft? What I would say, just to finish, I quite like the idea of a 1 premium draft, as I showed you at the start, but with Salah as the 1 premium. Perma-captain Salah. Salah's going to be a captain pretty much every week, apart from the odd one where you might want to go elsewhere, and still go for that sort of spread the premium draft. I don't mind that because Salah is the most expensive premium. So if he's not firing, you can always go to a Kane, Son, De Bruyne, or Haaland. There it is, guys. There are the 3 drafts. Let me know down below what your favourite draft is out of the 3. So guys, there you have it. That is my video for today. Slightly shorter than usual because we are talking about no Salah, which I'm not a massive fan of, but I did want to discuss it, and I do appreciate the logic, and I do think it makes sense for quite a few reasons, as we discussed today. As I said, do let me know down below if you are going without Salah, what your current draft looks like, and even if you've got Salah in, still let me know what your draft looks like, and any dilemmas you have, comment them down below, and I'll do my best to try and answer as many of you as possible. Do check out Incogni as well. Like I said, first 100 people, which will go very, very quickly, first 100 people to use the link down below will get 20% off. It's good to try and stay as secure as possible online, so do check them out. Helps to support the channel massively as well. We are trying to hit 20,000 subscribers before the end of the season, so if you're still watching this and you've not yet subscribed, please help me to achieve that goal. It's completely free for you to do, but it massively helps support me. Until next time, guys, thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.